kind of set up right now, so give us a moment to get everyone inside the space. Thanks for tuning in early. Please hold on. Brick, how are you?
Doing pretty good. Doing all right. How about yourself?
Not too bad. Just chilling, waiting for the space. Excited to chat with the Dust Labs team.
Let's do it.
Yes, sir. Have you had any chance to play around with any more of the open chat AI?
The AI stuff. So I was
Yeah.
making some taglines for Zoolana last night, and we got some crazy ones out of it. Um, Conquer the future was an awesome one, which we might actually use. Own the future is a great one as well. Um, I feel like that's pretty sweet for investors too. Um, it's kind of got like a double entendre there. So Uh, yeah, I mean, I was playing around with it a fair amount last night. Um, Another thing that people are doing, which is pretty sweet, is getting real pictures of themselves, putting them into the AI in,
Oh, really?
yeah, and then having it create them a new set of like profile pictures or pictures for a dating profile or professional headshots. Um, And I tried doing that last night, and unfortunately, the
Yeah.
person it turns me into doesn't look anything like me. It looks like some like I don't know, a caveman with my similar features, which I wouldn't mind being that masculine, but unfortunately, it just doesn't live up to the truth. So, but
That's
it's
super interesting.
yeah, it is pretty interesting in this stuff. I mean, everyone says it's spreading like, oh, when it starts changing the world, it's going to do it so fast. And yeah, I mean, I think we're already seeing that kind of. It's still early, and we're just seeing ripples right now. Um, but I'm seeing people playing around with, especially the profile picture generation stuff, even like even today that I wouldn't necessarily have expected to even be touching this kind of thing. So I'm talking about like Twitch streamers and some like professional game players, um,
Yeah.
people that aren't really connected to the emerging technology community, but are already starting to kind of use it and take advantage. So this stuff is happening pretty fast.
Yeah. I definitely think it's a testament to like the novelty aspect of things.
That's true.
People like to interact and speculate with it because it's something new, which is exciting. But we'll have to see how it's used in the future, right?
Yeah, that's a great point as well. I saw people today on Twitter posting song lyrics that ChatGPT created, which I mean, they're incredible, they're hilarious, they're genuinely well written. But in the comments, someone said, "Oh, I had it produce a different song for me, and it sounded kind of similar." I don't know how true that is.
Yeah.
Maybe we will see there's some limitations to it in its current form, but definitely a lot of potential.
100%. Aaron, Smitty, how's it going?
What's going on, guys? How are
Yo,
you?
Doing pretty well. Thanks for joining us today.
Glad to be
of
here, brother.
course.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, GM, how are you guys doing?
Doing pretty well, honestly. It's been a nice day. I'm over here in Thailand, so it's the evening for me right now, but it's been not too rainy today, so happy about that.
Nice, nice. Gotta love it. Do you guys have anybody in the squad over at Basel right now?
We do not currently.
Yeah, we had to miss out on Basil, which is unfortunate, but it just didn't seem like the
Yeah.
best use of our resources. Are you guys over at the event?
I'm not, unfortunately. I had to sit out this time. Not the best use of my resources for sure.
Yeah,
Um, but Kevin, Smitty are there, Frank's there, a couple of the other guys are there. So yeah,
Great stuff. It definitely looks like a fun time.
awesome.
dude,
Well,
the
Yeah,
FOMO is like burning. It hurts.
No, I feel that. We had the opportunity to make it to Breakpoint, so that was good enough for us, but hopefully next year maybe we'll be able to swing through and go to Art Basel as well. We'll have to see.
for sure, for sure. Well, yeah, excited. Let's kind of dive into this, and we got it recorded, so obviously can uh, reference this for future listeners, and maybe just kind of share a little bit, like why you guys chose the Zanny list with with Dust Labs, obviously. So would love to kind of hear that from you guys to start off. I think it's kind of important for kind of the listeners and anybody who would want to participate to learn that as well. So would love to kind of hear that and get us kicked off.
Yeah, great stuff. Well, I guess I'll start off by introducing us as a team. So I'm Spizzer behind the Zoolana account right now, and I've been working to help out with marketing recently. But I'd like to kind of shine a spotlight on our two co-founders, Brick and Dee. They'll probably be taking the reins on this conversation as well. But yeah, please feel free, guys.
Awesome. So yeah, Brick here, co-founder alongside Didi. Just let's step back a little, actually, and give a little more context on what we're doing at Zoolana. Just for anyone that might be unfamiliar, that's in the DGODS community, the youth community, or just kind of has their eye on what Dust Labs is up to. So Zoolana is building a mobile strategy game on Solana. We're one of the first, if not the first. And the general idea is that players will be able to build armies, collect resources, and battle alongside their friends, all while earning assets that stay forever on the blockchain. So one thing we've noticed as a team is that both Arnold and myself are strategy game players, and actually nationally accomplished players in a variety of game genres. But for strategy games specifically, they have a massive audience, but very few games in the strategy sector that actually appeal to them. So Axie was kind of this turn-based game, maybe some elements of turn-based strategy to it, but the gameplay was honestly very thin. And if you talk to anyone that's played the game for a significant amount of time, they say, it wasn't really fun. We just did it because we made money. So we saw a massive opportunity there, and we started to decided to apply our talents and our experience playing great games towards building one in the space. So that was the start of Zoolana. And yeah, we're about 8 months into development now. We have an alpha releasing soon, where players will be able to get their hands on a very early version, but a playable version of the game. And yeah, we're moving along, and things are pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting to think about where we're going to be in a year. So that's a little bit of background about who we are.
Yeah, just to add on to what Brick has mentioned, Zoolana really is, an IP play right here. So this game is actually our first product. So we've put a lot of time and effort into building out the lore of Zoolana, and the game, this Forex game that Brick has just described, really is the first product that we're looking to launch, because we believe gaming has the most potential in order to mass to the road of mass adoption for Web3 users. And yeah, the IP's been in the build for about a year now, and the game's in development for about 8 months. And like Brick mentioned, yeah, the alpha is coming. Very excited. It's gonna be on mobile, and yeah. So just to touch on a little bit more on why ZeniList. So we're in a bear market. The NFTs are in-game NFTs after all, and we kind of want to provide additional value towards our NFTs that are going to be launched on Magic Eden on in December, which is this month. But just to add on to the point where providing additional value to holders, one thing that we've realized in the space is that there's a lack of gaming gaming centric community, and one that actually provides people access to like a huge influx of quality people that are apparent in the space. Like, for example, we're partnering up with multiple projects at this point, like Earth from Another Sun, MetaOps, Gyrus, and many others, right? So I think the goal right here for ZeniList is that we want to curate the most comprehensive Web3 gaming community, and the primary reasoning on how we think this can work is that every person that belongs to a category in the gaming space would have a purpose, or they would want to join the ZeniList for a certain reason, right? So the types of people that we are looking for to onboard into ZeniList are gamers, game content creators, developers, testers, game VCs, artists, gaming guilds, launchpads, Web3 marketing agency, gaming infrastructure projects, gaming projects, of course, and many of the others that we choose to encompass around the whole ecosystem. So just to give you a more specific example, right? So gamers are obviously looking for games to play. Game content creators, they want to find gamers in order to look at their content, and they want to find games as well for more content to make. And game developers, obviously, they are potentially looking for a job either in gaming projects, gaming guilds, gaming infrastructure, things like that, and vice versa. And so we believe, kind of this community is going to be like a networking safe haven where everyone will be able to find whatever they want to find within the Web3 gaming space or gaming in general, because we're not limiting to just Web3. And yeah.
I love that. I love that. I got a quick question, and I loved how you made the kind of the draw with Axie, because I heard that a lot, that people didn't really play that game because it was like a fun game. They played it because they just made money, and I think we all kind of know like what happens when a game is not fun, right? You're not going to get that kind of level of adoption that you want. So like with this game that you guys are building, like did any games, traditional games, like did you get inspired by any games that you guys play now, or what would you like? What game would be similar to it that might be out now? That what you're building?
Yeah, almost definitely. I think at this point, every single one that is building a Web3 gaming project is going to say that their game is going to be fun. That's going to be the core primary reasoning of, how they're going to design the game and all of that. But I think it's a little bit more complex than what everyone is saying. And, there's a lot that goes into what actually makes a game fun, especially if, you go down into the nitty-gritty details of genres and subgenres. There's different leverages that you can pull in order to play. I mean, games at its very core, games are just psychological behavior manipulation for gamers, right? Because you want to instill uh, some kind of psychological frustration at certain point in order to hook them in, um, and make them spend some money on whatever microtransactions that you're supposed to make them spend on and increase your monetization. So yeah, routing back to what you asked for your question just now, definitely some of the notable titles that we are getting inspiration from are games like Lords Mobile, Infinity Kingdom, Rise of Kingdoms. Like these are games that have been around for a fairly long time, and their revenues are well above $1 billion. So you know in terms of game mechanics, obviously it's not going to be a one-to-one, because then why would anyone play our game and not just play a Web2 game? Yeah, you can say that, oh, because we've got Web3 capabilities and all of that, but it doesn't make sense to us, because primarily the reasoning is like, imagine I tell you that, you can move to a house where, all the furniture will definitely be yours and all of that, but you can't bring anything from your last house to this new house. Like that doesn't make sense. I'm like, people do not want change. That's like, yeah, we've got to accept some of the boundaries that humans have at its very basic capacity, that humans just do not like change. And if you do want them to change, you have to give them a very good reason on why you should let them play your game instead of a normal Web2 game.
Yeah, no, I love this, man. I love that you guys are gamers making a game, um, and because like having a fun game is so important, right? Because that example of playing a game and just doing it for either monetary gain or something that's not fun. It's like, dude, if people don't have fun playing it, then it's a fail. And that's what gets me so interested about you guys, is because I mean, mobile gaming is taking off. Mobile gaming is growing like absolute wildfire, right? And so, building a game in the vision of mobile makes so much sense, and I'm so excited for it. I used to play when I was a kid growing up, like in high school, I played Clash of Clans on my phone. And dude, like I loved that, right? connecting with people that play Clash of Clans, making your little clan together, which I think is super similar to the way that communities already operate in Web3. So I'm interested. I mean, I know you guys have a ton of different categories here. Could you guys touch on a little bit more of like the different types of people you're specifically looking for, out of the gate to kind of build this community with? I mean, I'm sure the type of gamers you're looking for to test the alpha and the beta might be different than the type of gamers you'll be looking for, a year from now.
Yeah, almost definitely. Yeah, it's funny you say the social mechanics and Clash of Clans have a similarity, that you see a similarity in that with Web3 communities in general. Yeah, I feel like, yeah, there's a lot of similarities, but at the same time the goals are fairly different in different spaces, because ultimately, um I don't want to use the word cult, but it is what it is. Web3 community really is like a cult in a sense, where you know there's a tagline that you guys have. There's something like there's certain prerequisite that you must hit for Web3 community in a sense. And uh, so far, aside from you know I mean, I honestly didn't see any successful communities not having any of those prerequisites. But yeah, I see some similarities in it. So yeah, it's funny that you brought that up. So to build onto your point of what you said on the kind of gamers that we're looking for. Ultimately, we did a lot of research on what these gamers are actually looking for in such a game. And, we've got gaming veterans, game developer veterans on our team that, knows what they're doing and guide us along the way, because ultimately, we've got to recognize our strengths and weaknesses. And we've been learning a lot from these veterans that has been in game development for 10 plus years and 20 plus years, and almost definitely game testers that we're looking for in this climate. Definitely, I wouldn't say it's kind of impossible to find these people specifically using Zenilist, but I would say though that the first primary users of influx towards any Web3 games is not going to be your ideal users, because due to acquisition, the way you acquire users at the very core is very different from how you would do a paid acquisition. And I feel like, yeah, like the first wave, I see that as an edge though towards Web3 gaming, because the first wave of user acquisition is gonna be certainly depending on your marketing campaign, of course, but it's definitely gonna be certainly cheaper than a traditional Web2 game trying to acquire users in paid acquisition.
Oh, definitely, and that's why I think gaming is such a powerful thing. Like when it hits hard, right? Because like when you when you have a game that you love, you tell all your friends about it, you get them to play with you, and that's what makes it so much fun, man. So I'm super pumped for you guys. Pumped to check out the game. I better get access to that alpha. I gotta start early so I can beat
Do you
everyone.
have an Android?
I'll get it. I actually do have an Android. I have an Android Samsung little tablet. So
Go. Yeah, we'll send it.
let's go, baby. Let's go.
Hey guys, I just wanted to jump up and say hi. I got to run to another meeting, but dude, I'm pumped about what you guys are doing, and sorry to just jump in and like jam myself in there, but yeah, it's pretty fired up, and we got a bunch of Androids and iPhones in my house. I've been doing mobile stuff for 10 years, and so I have every version of all kinds of crazy stuff that I've tested on. So I'm fired up to try it out, and yeah, really excited for what you guys are doing and partnership, and excited to learn more both in this space and then future as you roll it out. But it's funny here in our Basel, like there's so many different angles and games and VR experiences. Sorry, I'm in a super noisy place. Um, what separates people is really the users, right? I've seen a lot of demos in these kind of pop-up spaces where you go in there and it's just literally the founder playing against a friend, and there's like that's it, and it's a multiverse metaverse game, and I'm like, well, who's everybody else? And like, oh no, it's just here. And it's like, I think the big thing is just finding something that's playable and finding something that you really find a lot of people engage with. And so I think, it's all about the users and really catering to that, because I think and so it sounds like you guys are on the right track, and so excited to see this roll out.
Yeah, let me jump in there a little bit. One thing that we've been talking about internally for a long time now is, are we building a 4X strategy game, which is the name of this genre? Are we building a 4X strategy game for Web3 users, or are we building a Web3 game for 4X strategy users? And I think the answer is really the second one. What we're seeing and what we're hoping to do here is solve existing problems within Web 2 with Web 3 features. And we're adding those features to a fully fledged 4X strategy game. So the goal here is to make something that competes with Web 2 products and beats them out by including Web 3 features. And the goal here is to target players of that game type. So I think there's an interesting thing here where a lot of profile picture collections, or there's a lot of people who just started out wanting to mint out an NFT project, or just wanting to start an NFT project, and they add a tagline of the game is the incentive for you to mint. Well, at the end of the day, maybe that's fun for the holders, but that's never going to take off because the game just doesn't have the right reason to exist. As opposed to coming from the opposite direction, where you're making a game that's supposed to stand on its own merits, and then on top of that, you add in the Web3 capability. This should be a product that's actually superior to existing things on the market, provided that you can do everything you would expect in a Web2 game alongside actively trading your assets. So that's kind of our goal here, and we're hoping that by bringing, Web3 to the masses, really there's a massive user base for us that is much larger than just crypto and some of the founders' best friends.
That's awesome, man. I'm so excited. That genre is like, I mean, and the reason why I made that comparison earlier to Web3 communities is because like this genre specifically is also like a little cultish, like I played Civ as well, like Civilization, and I had like a group of friends that we all played Civ, and like there's like YouTube communities and subreddits that are just like only Civ maxis, right? And I love what you said, Brick, right? About creating like a 4X game that just like kind of has Web3 enabled in it, and really building for those existing users. Because
Yep.
if you win there, like then you automatically win on blockchain, and then you kind of have somewhat of like a step in situation, right? Where it's like you're onboarding, thousands and thousands of people. They may not even know, but you're creating this whole ecosystem that actually like advances the entire Solana ecosystem. So super excited, man, and I love the way you guys are thinking about this. It's super refreshing and super exciting.
Yeah, I think Steppen is actually an interesting example because, you seem like you have something that's primed for mass adoption. And I think at the end of the day, we did. Like, Steppen really exploded. It had like 2 million active monthly users or something at the largest point, or 750,000 downloads in 1 month, I think was one of the statistics that I know I heard for certain. Like, Steppen absolutely exploded and seemed like it had product market fit. But the interesting thing with Steppen is that when the token economics and like the actual like the ecosystem build out for the Web3 portion of the game, when it isn't done sustainably, the whole product falls apart. So it's interesting. What are you actually selling here? Are you selling a way to get some form of rewards from doing what you already do? Or are you selling a way to earn a salary for doing what you already do? Because the first one is sustainable, the second one is probably not. And I think what happened with Steppen is that it blew up too much for the second, where people are like, oh, I'm going to go earn $50 for taking a 20-minute walk around the park, as opposed to, maybe there's some other reward mechanisms that don't get directly translated to cash, or maybe they do get directly translated to cash, but only in some small margin that's a little more sustainable. So Steppen is actually a really interesting use case of like potentially building the right thing, but executing on it in a way that sets it up for failure in the future. Web3 is incredibly complex. And the systems that you have to manage when you're giving out user incentives are just, it's a hard job.
For sure, and that's I think what makes it so interesting with what the type of game that you guys are building is the level of complexity within it. I mean, gives you so many more routes to actually incentivize and reward users, right? I think one
Yes.
major pitfall for Steppen was, the actual in-game assets were pretty limited, right? It's shoes, it's shoes and coins. And it's like, when you're playing the game, quote unquote, right? It's just exercise. So it's like most people were probably doing that anyways, but then you're doing more of it because you can earn this money. But there's no like fun, there's no complexity, there's no like challenge, there's no puzzle, right? And I think that's where like complex games can actually come into play, where it's like, I think like Civ, I'll use that as an example because like I'm a gamer, right? Like I think I played Civ like for 3 or 4 years, like consecutively, just like with my friends and like just having fun. And so it's like the amount of value that a system that would have allowed me to like actually take value out of my progress would have given me. I mean, dude, like I don't really play anymore, but what if I like earned all this cool shit and I could sell it to some new players and actually like make a bag, right? And like there's all these different things that come into play with these complex games that I think actually like make for interesting like web3 crypto gaming. And I think Axie like could have been a dub, could have been a big dub. And I never played Axie, but I heard from people that played Axie, and I think again it was just like it's not complex enough, it's not as good of a game.
That's a phenomenal point actually about the complexity of reward. One thing that we've seen is that the more involved and the more specific the reward is, the better it's actually going to do in terms of a long-term reward. Because when you can specialize, I mean, think about it in terms of anything of value, and more specifically, something like skills that you earn on a job. So when you earn a set of skills, you want to specialize. You want to know something that no one else on the market does. You want to build supply for personally. You want to build your supply of something that the market generally has no supply of, so that any demand is demand that you can cater to. So one thing we've seen is that when you get really specific with rewards, so not just giving people tokens like here are the gems, like Clash of Clans has gems, everyone gets gems. Well, all of a sudden you've devalued the gem supply because everyone has gems. But when you ask people to specify, and when you start dividing currencies based into the type of units that maybe you like to play with, or the type of strategies that you like to employ, the civilizations that you use, the heroes that you use, all of a sudden these are ways that players can specialize and build value for them, or at least that subset of the community in particular, that won't apply to everyone. So you've been playing. Yeah, I'm generally familiar with Civ. Maybe not all that familiar, but like maybe you've been playing Gandhi for 1,000 hours or something, and you get a special Gandhi skin in Civ. That's particular to Gandhi. That's not something that someone who's spent 1,000 hours on. I don't know the other races like Sweden or something like that. Maybe someone has spent 1,000 hours on Sweden and they want to buy that Gandhi skin that you have access to, but they're not going to put 1,000 hours into Gandhi to get it, so they'll pay you for it. Like that's where the actual value of these assets come from, is having something that's specialized within the game that not everyone can just get. So you're exactly right. The complexity of the game is absolutely an advantage rather than a disadvantage, and gives us a lot of room to play around with how exactly we're rewarding players.
I love it, man. This is so exciting. This is so cool. I don't know if there's any requests up, but happy to field some questions about the actual process of ZaniList if anybody has any of those. I don't know if you guys have something you can pin with the website to the top, so that people can go apply. It only takes like a couple minutes. Go in there, tell them a little bit about yourself, join the Discord, and get started joining the community. I don't know if you guys have any questions you guys want to ask us. We're open books, baby.
Awesome. Well, briefly, yeah, Spiz, if you could pin something with a Zanny list call to action to the space, that would be awesome. And yeah, guys, it really doesn't take very long. He's already on it. Awesome. Love it. Okay. Beautiful. Yeah, so questions for you guys. I think one thing we're curious about are, have you seen anyone take this list to the next step in its like evolution as a product or as like a technique for creating a community? Who do you think has implemented it best since you guys have made it public?
Ooh, that's a good question. Um, That's tough, man, because I think like the thing about it is like really it is different for every project, right? And I think you guys have seen just a bit of that with like the level of customization and the differences between applications. I mean, we've had some teams that, are on much more generous timelines and are much more willing to like wait around for us to add things that they might want. And so, in those cases, we've been able to actually find some interesting new features that we can add and make available for everybody. Um, I think the best implementation of this list is really, and we tell this to all the projects, and it's like the real value point of this list, not just for the teams, obviously, because curating the community, brings a ton of value, but on the other side for the user for applying, it's like a special moment, right? And we use an analogy all the time of like a nightclub, right? Like when you're going to a nightclub and you look at the front of the nightclub and there's a line and you have to go wait in the line. It's like you want to be in that nightclub. Like, look at all these people that want to go in that nightclub. It's like exclusive. Not everybody can get in, regardless of how full the nightclub is, right? The nightclub could have two people in it, but if there's a line, it signals something different. And so that's kind of what this scholarship system is it's like building a line. Whether or not there's people inside the club or not, it's saying, hey, there's value to the access that we're about to give you, and so we're going to treat it as such. And so I think the projects that treat the technology in that way tend to be more successful. Making that acceptance a special moment for people. Making people excited about it, building those graphics. Right, you guys have custom graphics, and I know you guys wanted to do some really cool shit with the acceptances, and we weren't able to squeeze that in the time, but it's like one of those things where it's like that's a feature that it would be so cool to have like dynamic animated acceptances. And so yeah, I think it really is like just a toolbox, right? And so it just kind of depends on how the teams use it. And I like the way that you guys are using it because you're really able to understand like the type of gamers that are joining your community. And I think as you guys go through this alpha beta testing QA process for the game, I think that's going to be super helpful, and I would be interested to connect obviously down the line, hear some updates, because to me that seems like the big value point for this process in a gaming project is like, what if you actually find like those 10 rock star like actual beta testers, like people who have done it before, who are like down to give you like really good bug reports and just like hook you up with some of the best feedback ever. And like to me, I think that could be disproportionate value. So I don't know. I think that's what I would say. I wouldn't say there's like a specific example of a project that has just like killed it and like done it like crazily, because I think everybody does it differently, and I think it generally tends to work out as long as you take the time to strategize and think about it thoughtfully.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Um, yeah, I think for us, one of the things that we saw the most value behind is creating a network where people can actually talk amongst each other and take advantage of the fact that we did the due diligence process for everyone. So now you can talk to other people in the list that we thought were valuable to be there and hopefully get some value out of that. So it is interesting. Hopefully we can find some beta testers, we could find some artists, or we could find some marketing professionals or whoever it might be that we need at any given point in time personally as a project, but I think one of the points of value we've seen is creating that community so everyone has access to it. At this point, we've partnered with something like 14 plus other Web3 gaming projects to give them and their communities access to the Zani list. And, that's really helpful. If Kaiju Cards need someone to talk to about some animation quirk in their game, and someone like Ludex is available to help, or, Ludex is a blockchain solution, so not the best example, but someone like Gyrus is there available to help, like, that's a real value add. And that doesn't just apply to these projects. Like, whoever has those questions about how these games operate or function, can ask these guys at any time. So that's whether you are someone who's thinking about starting your own gaming project and you just want to run some ideas past people, these guys will be available. Or whether you're someone who just wants to play these games or is starting to play these games. Kaiju has a demo that's fully playable. I was playing it in Lisbon, and it was awesome. But it was something that I had to ask some questions about. And as these games start to release, you're going to need kind of a line into the people that are actually making them. So I think it's pretty sweet and pretty interesting. Once you start drawing comparisons to the Web 2 world, it's really exciting. Like, you were playing Clash of Clans. Imagine that you were in a group chat with the Supercell devs. Like, that is pretty sweet. That's pretty sick. So I think we see a lot of potential in the network element of things and making sure that people have access to each other in a way that's beneficial for everyone.
I got a question, guys. I got a question around. I know you mentioned. I think one of the categories on the list is like gaming guilds, right? And I know a lot of times, like, gaming guilds can kind of be the life and kind of the beginning of some of these gaming projects, right? So I was just curious, like, if you guys have already, maybe started to attract some of these, if you spoke with guys like YGG, and how you guys think about those kind of partnerships, because once again, I do believe that those kind of communities can really help get you guys where you want to be. So was curious about that, how you're thinking about it. I know some guilds, they want to buy hundreds of assets at some points for their scholars, right? So would love to hear your outlook on that, if you don't mind sharing.
Yeah, I can jump in. Spiz and DD both were present. We had we've onboarded a guild as a partner to Zani List, and we had a long conversation with them about the dynamics of running scholarships for Axie, and then jumping into the space where it exists right now, where Axie is not really around so much, and they said they went from something like 15,000 scholars to less than 1,000. So the current market demand is a little less than it used to be, supposedly. Not totally surprising, but we see guilds as really valuable partners, and we are interested in expanding our reach to guilds. I think one thing we're conscious of is that we don't want, and people won't be, playing our game purely to earn a salary. We've run that experiment. We've seen what happens. Sure, maybe you get massive user growth for 3 months, but then it dies, and you have an enormous amount of people angry at you because they bought assets at the top that they thought were going to pay off their house. So this is that's pretty much bad for everyone involved and would waste like the year plus of our lives that we put into this project, not to mention all the money. So for us, financializing the game in a way that rewards players is really the goal, and not necessarily in a way that
is the sole focus of it.
Is the sole focus, precisely. Yeah.
If I can add,
I think gaming guilds have shifted their focus in terms of how they're approaching it. And I'm not too sure whether you guys have any conversations with these gaming guilds, but personally, I'm the one that's spearheading all of the partnerships that we've been reaching out to these gaming guilds, gaming projects, and all of these people. And the gaming guilds that I've been talking with, they're, to be honest, they're like struggling in this climate due to like low liquidity. And so what they're trying to do right now is trying to build. They're going towards the esports route instead of the traditional, oh, scholarship, I'll buy a bunch of assets, I'll sponsor all of you guys to try to earn money in the game, and then I'll take a cut out of it. Like they're slowly you know waking up and changing their business model to fit and mature to the space that is evolving at an increasing rate. And yeah, definitely guilds are definitely people that we want to onboard to the game. But I feel like the definition of gaming guilds are changing as we speak, and hopefully for the better.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Thank you for the clarity there. That's awesome. I'm super pumped for this, guys. And like, could you shed some light? Like, I think a lot of people, especially people who are listening to this, they probably want to be one of the early adopters, maybe the early testers. And you mentioned that's right around the corner. Will that be like a limited capacity? Or how are you guys thinking about that?
Um, yeah, Didi, do you want to jump in?
Yeah. You're saying limited capacity for the min, or
More for like the beta of the game. Like like obviously you want some game testers, all that good stuff. But like, what does that look like? Like, is that something that anybody on the Zani list will be able to get access to, or you might have to have some credentials, or like could you share a little?
yeah, almost definitely. I
Sorry.
think right now, for our process, obviously we're gonna validate feedback from our most OG community, which is our Alpha Red holders, as well as our teaser editions and Alpha Blue holders. So those people will be the part of the first wave. There will be special acceptances towards the testing of the game itself as well. Personally, I've connected with a few professional game testers that have been testing some of the games that Sino Global Games have been producing, and these people, they actually do this professionally for a living, and I've spoken to them, and they would love to help us test the game. So like there will be special acceptances such as these people. Um, Aaron as well, people who have supported Zulana in our journey. Definitely there's gonna be a place for you guys.
Super dope, super dope. Well, yeah, guys, I'm super excited, and I think if there's anybody who wants to come up, I see we got one hand with Mel. Maybe she's got a question, but yeah, we'd love to kind of field some questions. Anything about Zulana, the Zani list, anything. We're an open book, so maybe pass it around.
Hi.
Yo, how you doing?
Yo. Good. I joined, I think, pretty late, but I caught just the last half of it. Um, I wanted to chime in when you guys were speaking about gaming guilds, and esports. I'm actually on one of the councils of Global Esports Federation, and I'm in contact with a lot of gaming guilds because of Runiverse, which is my game. But I was wondering if you could, because you guys are going for like a completely different genre than what the space is used to seeing. Like, I don't know if this is going to be you repeating or not, but can you guys tell me about like the esports part of your ecosystem, if there is one?
Yeah, almost definitely. So the esports element towards our game is gonna be pretty similar to, um, let's see, a good example would be, I guess, yeah, Clash of Clans would be a good example where players from different clans will have clans will have players represent them in esports, similar to kind of like a ladder type of competition, and that's where most of the esports element is gonna be. I'm not too sure if you're familiar with Forex game as well. There is certain different gameplay where coordination between clans is very important for like a wide scale attack for these castles, I would say. So giving you a more specific example, for example, let's say this clan has like 50 people the other clan has like 40 people, and their primary goal is to kill everyone from the other opposing clan, right? And so amidst that chaos, there's gonna be certain gaming depth in a sense where coordination is needed from all sides, where uh, guild leaders or supporting leaders will need to give in order for them to kind of win that competition in a sense. Yeah, this is. Let me know if that doesn't make sense. And
No, it's okay. I got it.
okay,
Understand. Thank you for explaining. And the game is it free to play also? Again, sorry if I'm making you repeat stuff.
no worries. Yeah, it's free to play. And it's a mobile game.
Okay, perfect. Actually, for Global Esports Federation, we're starting this new thing soon, where we give out kind of like badges. It's like Michelin stars, you know, but for Web3 games, for like established ones, not new ones, of course. So yeah, I'm just like out here scouting, having a look at like a bunch of different games. I've definitely heard of you guys before, and I've stalked your page quite several times. And I think that there's definitely not a lot of like forex games in the space at the moment that's actually doing it without being a DeFi or whatever in disguise.
Yeah, I
Um,
think almost definitely DeFi. Yeah, because you've got to understand, right? Like forex games in general, it's a ton of building in a process, and I feel like a lot of these people who are trying to so-called quote unquote design these forex games, but yeah, like you said, they're really trying to build a DeFi protocol to feed onto the
yeah,
culture of people, and that's not what we're doing.
yeah, yeah. Any game that is building tokenomics around the game and not the other way around is something that I would look at. So
Awesome. I mean, I would love to talk more of to the space if you are able to connect more
mhm.
gaming guilds.
Yes, of course. Are you guys in touch with? I assume that you are, but Degen Legends, as in 3DGG.
Yeah, Brick is a good friend of them.
Yeah,
Okay, perfect.
Pang Boy and I are both in the Howdy Dow, so yeah, we've met up IRL a few times at this point.
Okay, I think they're very big on this philosophy too. I think they were one of the first gaming guilds to shift quite early on from the P2E narrative to just play and earn, or play and own, or just anything that is
Yeah,
not grindy. Um,
it it was interesting. I met with Pang Boy for the first time in March of last year in Austin, and within like 3 minutes of talking to him, he was like upset and really frustrated with Axie. Like just talking, he's like, "Yeah, dude, they
yeah,
didn't have enough sinks for the token," and it didn't take him very much to get to the point where he was frustrated with the space. So yeah, I think
I
he's got
think
a good head on his shoulders, and yeah.
I think frustration with Axie is definitely not uncommon, but I do understand that David is like very passionate about it. Yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see someone that's as invested um financially or emotionally as we are.
absolutely. Cool. You guys have like a beta up or alpha?
So the alpha is going to release soon. You can get kind of a general feel for what it's going to look like by checking out some of the pinned tweets as well as some of the gameplay
Yep,
footage
seen
that we've
them.
put out so far. Awesome. Yeah. So that's going to be released and playable by the semi-public. It's mostly going to be for our NFT holders, but I imagine at some point in the future we'll open that up, especially when it comes to new features being released and then the eventual soft launch and actual grand launch of the game.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you for answering my questions, and good luck with the Zani list.
Thank you. Yep. Thanks for jumping up here and participating.
Yeah, bye guys. Bye, Aaron. New name.
Thank you, Melty.
All right, guys. Does anyone else have any questions about what we're building, how we're thinking about it, what we had for breakfast, plans for the weekend.
Dude, founders can't eat. Don't you remember that? Founders
Well,
don't deserve to eat breakfast.
I actually haven't eaten today, so I'm glad.
I think it's time to change those habits. Founders have to eat. Let's start a new initiative.
Eating is for the bull run.
Hey, that's fair. That's fair. All right. Well, if anyone wants to hop on, please do come up, ask any questions to either us or the Dust Labs team. We're here at your disposal. So, of course, please come up. We'll give it a couple of seconds to see if anyone wants to raise their hand. We don't bite, we promise.
Unless you want us to.
Hey, that's
Yeah, that
fair.
costs extra.
Hey yo.
Hey, yo!
You gotta apply.
Yo,
Why?
yo. Smitty, we haven't heard you talk at all. Are you a game player? What do you do in your spare time?
Yeah, dude, I'm a pretty big gamer actually. I have been a PC gamer for the last couple years. Started on the
Nice, nice.
console, but yeah, like I'm a big Apex guy. I like Call of
Yeah,
Duty.
me too.
Um,
He got rugged.
Oh, okay. I was gonna ask. I was like, is that just me? That's
Yeah, he
tough.
definitely rugged. Definitely.
I was looking forward to hearing what he plays too.
Yeah, that's Elon's
can y'all hear
fault.
me? Hello?
Hey, yeah, we can hear
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry about that. I got a call coming in. But yeah, what I was saying is, Apex, Call of Duty. I like my first-person shooters, but I can't keep up with these
Fun.
kids, man. They're too quick. I don't know. I don't know if I'm just getting old or what it is, but these kids are like quick, bro. So, but I love gaming.
Dude,
Man. I'm a big time gamer.
Yeah, I played Apex. I got into FPS on the PC for the first time during the pandemic. Grinded it out to get to Diamond, and then once you're like at the top of the public, but the lowest of the pros, you realize, you mere mortals cannot compete.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You find out pretty quickly. I don't think I ever got to Diamond before, but yeah, man, I'm super excited. I mean, I do, I hear it all the time. I think gaming is going to be a huge kind of piece to, mass adoption with Web3. It's just how it works and making sure that it's sustainable. So I'm hyped, man. I'm hyped. So
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for joining us. I think it's definitely important for us to really craft the narrative towards being a fun experience with NFTs augmenting that user's experience rather than being the focal points. And I think we're finally getting to a new age where being in this bearish market, and especially a testament to what we're doing with the Zani list, is we're able to work with other projects that are like-minded and also seeking the same ideals, right? Shifting from that play to earn to play and earn or play and own or whatever is mentioned before is really important. And we're finally seeing that movement. So we want to be a part of that. And we're super excited to actually be working with you guys to ship the Zani list as well. So for anyone who's listening in, please definitely check it out. It's a pinned tweet. Apply now before we get towards our mint. And if you guys are excited for the game, then it'll be coming out a little sooner rather than later. So just keep up on that.
Smitty, just a fun fact for you. FPS players have a pretty high affinity with Forex strategy games, so maybe you might be good.
You could be good, man.
Okay. Cool. No,
Yeah,
I'm excited.
these are facts by reports. I don't make the rules.
There we go, some
That's what I like
statistics
to
for you.
hear. That's what I like to hear. Well, yeah, man. I appreciate appreciate you guys working with us. This has been a super awesome experience thus far, and we're just getting started. So like at the end of the day, we're here for you guys. If there's anything you need, reach out. And I think it's been a great space.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll chat again later.
For sure.
Awesome.
Take it easy, y'all.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.